The history of this car is it was imported to Australia by a chap in Buderim in 2011, and it must have been too much of a job for him, and somebody out near Oakey bought it and they pulled it apart, and that chap decided he couldn't do it, so he donated it to the men's shed at Highfields. I was club president at the time, and they rang me up and said, "We've got a 1922 Hudson, do you want it? You've got 3 days to pick it up, otherwise it's going to the dump."
This is Trevor Hoffman. He's a long-time member of the Darling Downs Veteran and Vintage Motor Club. At the moment, he's project manager for what has turned out to be one hell of a project.
It's a Hudson Limousine, and it's got 2 extra seats in the back that fold down as child seats. And it's the only year that they used an aluminium body, and we thought, why not preserve it?
Trevor knew it would be a crying shame to see such a beautiful old car with such terrific potential to be restored go to the tip. So they decided to take the car on as a club project.
The club's lucky. We've probably got members that have got most trades to restore a car. You know, we don't have to pay any external labour.
But as you've probably worked out by now, it was never going to be a walk in the park.
The body had all fallen apart, and the motor had the head off and things like that, and the wheels were the wrong size for the car. If something's hard, it's just a bit more of a challenge for us. Yeah.
It's very hard to fit wood to existing panel work, but it can be done, because when they built these cars, they built...
This is James Meera. As well as being a trained mechanic, he's worked with wood pretty much all his life, which is handy because the Hudson Limousine goes back to the day when motorcar frames were made from wood.
There wasn't much, well, across the back there was hardly any timber left, and a lot of it's been guesswork, but you look on the chassis, you might see witness marks where timber had rubbed on the chassis or where a bolt went through.
We're mainly working with samples of what's left of the timber.
This is Jim Robertson, another member of the club who's never been one to shy away from a challenge.
They had tools that we are still trying to find out what they used.
Right, okay.
We can duplicate it as best we can with what we've got, but it would have been nice to know what they used back then.
Now, you might think that the engine of a car that's nearly 100 years old would be pretty much the same as any other engine, right? Well, no.
The part that I inherited and another couple of guys here was when it came back from the engineer shop, we put our hands up to say that we'd put it back together, and that was a fair sort of a learning curve. We thought we knew a little bit about engines, but didn't know as much as we thought, not about this old stuff anyway.
This is Gene Lucas. Gene's been steering the work on the Hudson's engine.
Like I've done, I wouldn't like to think of how many engines I've put together over my time, but when we came to bearing clearances, it was a whole new ball game for me.
But, of course, the gains far outnumber the challenges. In fact, in a way, the challenges are the gains, like the magic that happens when a group of fellas from different backgrounds and with an array of different skill sets come together with a single goal.
Actually, restoring this car has probably brought the club together a fair bit, because of a Wednesday afternoon when we're here working on it, we can have at least 30 people here for afternoon tea, and it works like an old men's shed, and you can get the stress out of your system and go home happy again. Yeah. Also, if you come along to the workshop here, if you want to learn something, there's always someone that's willing to show you how to do it, and you've learned another skill yourself then.
It's not rocket science, it's just basic woodworking procedures. If I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yep.
You don't have to be a tradesman to do this sort of thing. We'd like to think that there are other people around that can tackle these sort of jobs in the future, because we're not going to be around forever.
Jim and James here, they amaze me with wood. They say, oh, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And I just shook my head and I said, no, I can't do that. I can't do wood. I use wood to burn to keep myself warm in winter. That's about it. There's a fella here, and he's a school teacher, and I've got to take my hat off to him, what the jobs that he tackles. He'll have a go at anything too, you know. And I think he's probably motivated by other guys who he sees can do it, and he thinks, well, if they can do it, so can I. And I reckon about the same thing about myself. I'll have a go at things now that I wouldn't have had a go at before. Probably never had the time to have a go at before, but I've got the time now being retired, and I'll have a go at things that I never thought I could do.
The Darling Downs Veteran and Vintage Motor Club fellas are about halfway through the job of restoring this Hudson Limousine. But as tough as it's been so far, they all know that the biggest challenge is still to come. And as skilled as they all are in their own special way, none of them have a clue how to tackle this one. And that is, how are they going to work out who gets to take the car on its first drive?
Oh, there'll be a big fight on.
Who's going to win?
We're trying to figure out how's the best way of getting a driver or two into it. But,
what have you come up with, a big barrel with everyone's name in it, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
I think that'll be the shot. Yeah.
Well, you've got to find a person that knows how to drive these older cars, like with a non-synchromesh gearbox, etc. And it'll be a little bit more of a challenge being left-hand drive, but we'll have no trouble getting volunteers to drive it.
It'll be good, yeah. All your hard work and patience, and you're good to see it going and go for a drive.